Guten Tag alle, heute wollte ich nur ein paar mehr Übungen über Wortstellung mit euch machen. Für jeden Satz, den ich euch zeigen werde, gibt es ein Problem mit der Wortstellung. So die Frage ist nur, können Sie die Sätze oder Fragen noch korrigieren? Zum Beispiel, wohin du gehst am Samstag? So if you want to correct this, you will say, wohin gehst du am Samstag? Remembering that in German, the verb is the second idea. So in this case, we have a question word, wohin, and then our verb, followed by a subject, and then a time expression, am Samstag. And German's very flexible, so sometimes if you want to emphasize one thing, you can move it to the front of the sentence, and then, but your verb still retains its position as the second idea. So am Samstag gehst du wohin? Is also a way of asking where you're going on Saturday. And if you're having problems with any of these exercises, I would probably encourage you to go back and look at our videos over word order and forming it in German. Okay, so ich trinke ein Glas Milch und gehe ich ins Bett. With this, basically und is a coordinating conjunction in German. So this means that the word order that follows it stays in the normal order. And the normal order for a statement is subject, verb, and then the rest. So instead of ich trinke ein Glas Milch und gehe ich ins Bett, it's better probably to say ich trinke ein Glas Milch und ich gehe ins Bett. Or if you want to emphasize milk that you drink or that you're drinking a glass of milk, you could say ein Glas Milch trinke ich und ich gehe ins Bett. So these are both perfectly okay. Was du lernst, it's pretty obvious what the problem here is. It's just going to be was lernst du. When you have a question word and you're forming a question with a question word, that question word is going to be the first thing. And then it's going to be followed by the verb. That's your main rule in German, is that the verb must be the second idea. Not necessarily the second word, but the second idea of the sentence. Alright, here's a very common problem for English speakers of German. In German, this Ich kann finden das Buch, there's a problem here. Even though to an English mind it may sound perfectly reasonable to say I can find the book because that's our normal word order. But in German, when you have two verbs in the sentence, the first verb is going to occupy the second idea, and the second verb will go to the end. This happens a lot with modal verbs, können, müssen, wollen, sollen, dürfen, and mögen. Happens in the future tense, happens also in the perfect tense. So just remember, when you have two verbs, this is normally the case. You can change this around slightly if you want to emphasize the book. Das Buch kann ich finden. The second example is another example of this. Ich habe gekauft einen Bleistift. It's better to say ich habe einen Bleistift gekauft oder einen Bleistift habe ich gekauft. Okay, so here we have a couple things that are very important to recognize, common problems. Ich werde mit dem Zug am Montag abfahren. Sounds perfectly reasonable, but the problem here is the word order of the expressions. In German, you always want to remember time, manner, place, oder wann, wie und wo. So instead of ich werde mit dem Zug am Montag abfahren, it's better to say ich werde am Montag mit dem Zug abfahren. In this case, Montag takes precedence over the how, which is mit dem Zug. And you have two verbs here, werde and abfahren, and that's another rule of German word order. When you have two verbs, this first verb occupies the first or second idea, and then the other verbs at the end, in this case, abfahren. Am Montag werde ich mit dem Zug abfahren. Mit dem Zug werde ich am Montag abfahren. Another thing you need to watch out for with German word order is subordinating conjunctions. An example of that is das. And when you're using this subordinating conjunction in German, that first verb that normally is after the subject is going to go to the end. So you'll see how ist moved. Ich habe gelernt, dass Deutsch nicht schwer ist. This is also very tricky for English speakers to recognize and to use. So ich hoffe, dass das ein bisschen geholfen hat. Vielen Dank.